We are Group 8, and we present about securing information systems. We are including Luu Minh Chau, Tran Linh Chi, Dao Thu Giang, Thi Minh Khue, Nguyen Thi Ha Phuong, Pham Thao, and Nguyen Thi Uyen. The first is about system vulnerability and abuse.
Now I will present to you the first part, the reasons the systems are vulnerable. There are 6 reasons. The first is unauthorized access, abuse, and fraud caused by accessibility of networks. The second reason is hardware problems, such as breakdowns, configuration errors, damage from improper use of CRAM. The third reason is software problems, such as programming errors, installation errors, unauthorized change, or the system can be harmed by disasters, or the use of networks or computer outside the firm's control. The last reasons were the loss and theft of portable devices. Now we will look closer at Internet vulnerability. Now we will look closer at Internet vulnerabilities. The network is open to anyone, and the size of Internet means abuse can have wide impact. The use of fixed Internet addresses with capable DSL modems create fixed targets for hackers. Now we'll review some examples. Unencrypted voice, most voice over IP traffic over the public Internet. Anyone with a network can listen in on to a conversation. Vulnerabilities increase from email, P2P, networks, IM. The reason of this vulnerability is because of interception, attachment with malicious software, and transmitting trade secrets. And the next part is wireless security challenge. This is vulnerable because of radio frequency bands easy to scan. Service set identifiers is easier to identify access point, broadcast multiple times, and can be identified by cipher programs, and do not have a basic protection against while driving. Once access point is breached, intruder can use OS to access network drives and files. The next part I will present to you is the malicious software. Now I will review some keywords. The first is the definition of the virus. The virus is a review software program that attacks itself to other software programs or data files in order to execute it. And the next definition is worms. Worm is independent programs that copy themselves from one computer to other computers over a network. Here's some malicious software we use to see. The first is worm and virus. Worm and virus spread by download, drive by download, or email, instant message attachment, or download on website and social networks. You can see the picture. This is the example of spreading of virus and worms. The malicious software can be the smartphone as valuable as computer. Hacker can do many things to a smartphone just as a computer devices. Mobile devices now pose a greatest security risk. Some studies find 13,000 types of smartphone malware. The blogs, wikis, and social network sites have merged a new conduit for malware and spyware. The next molecular software is Trojan horses. Here's the definition. A software that appears begin but does some more than expected. Not itself a virus, but often a way for malicious code to be introduced into a computer system. And next is the SQL injection attacks. Hackers submit data to web forms that exploit size unprotected software and send through SQL query to database. And the last is the spyware. Spyware is small programs installed themselves surreptitiously on computers to monitor user web surfing activity and serve up advertising. Here's some types of spyware. Keyloggers, reset browser home page, reinitiate request, slow computer performance by taking up memory.
Next, I will talk about hackers and computer crime. Activities of hackers include system intrusion, system damage, cyber vandalism, like international disruption, defacement, destruction of website or corporate information system. Hackers is someone who intends to gain unauthorized access to a computer system, and cracker is a hacker with criminal intent. Hackers and crackers, they do spoofing and sniffing. Spoofing is misrepresenting oneself by using fake email addresses or masquerading as someone else, or redirecting web link to an address different from intended one, with site masquerading as intended destination. Sniffers, they eavesdropping program that monitors information traveling over network and enables hackers to steal proprietary information like email or company files. Another type of computer crime is denial of service attacks, or we can call them as DOS. In a DOS, hackers flood a network server with thousands of false requests to crash the network. The attack causes a website to shut down, make it impossible for legitimate users to access the site. Distributed denial of service attacks is the use of numerous computers to launch a DOS. Perpetrators of distributed denial of service attacks often use thousands of zombie PCs infected with bot malware to organize into a botnet. They control these zombie PCs through the bot malware. 90% of the world's spam and 80% of the world's malware are delivered via botnets. Computer crime is defined by the U.S. Department of Justice as any violation of criminal law that involves a knowledge of computer technology for their perpetration, investigation, or prosecution. Computer may be instrument of crime, for example, theft of trade secrets, using email for threats or harassment. With the growth of the Internet and electronic commerce, identity theft has become especially troubling. Identity theft is a crime involving theft of personal information, such as Social Security ID, driver's license, or credit card numbers, to impersonate someone else. One increasingly popular tactic is a form of spoofing called phishing, which involves setting up fake websites or sending email messages that look like legitimate businesses to ask users for confidential personal data. Phishing techniques called evil twin and pharming are harder to detect. Evil twins means wireless networks that pretend to offer trustworthy Wi-Fi connections to the internet. Pharming means redirecting users to a bogus web page even when individual types correct web page address into his or her browser. A major data breach is eBay. Cyber attack on eBay servers during February and March 2014 compromises database containing customer names, encrypted passwords, email addresses, physical addresses, phone numbers, and birthdays. No financial data were accessed, but the information is useful for identity theft. Click fraud occurs when individual or computer program fraudulently clicks on online ad without any intention of learning more about the advertiser or making a purchase. Cyber terrorism and cyber warfare, which have become much more widespread and potentially devastating, that cause damage and disruption to a state or nation. The internal threat to a company or organization as the employee. Security threats often originate inside an organization. Employees with inside knowledge and sloppy security procedure are the internal threats. Is a lack of knowledge. Employees forget passwords and malicious intruders might trick employees into revealing their password by pretending to be legitimate members of the company in need of information, which is called social engineering. Growing complexity and size of software programs have contributed to an increase in software flaws or vulnerabilities. A major problem is hidden bugs, as known as program code defects. Zero defects cannot be achieved because complete testing is not possible with large programs. Flaws in commercial software can open network to intruders. To correct software flaws, software vendors create patches. There are small pieces of software to repair flaws. However, there is a challenge. Malware is often created faster than patches can be released and implemented. The next part is business value of security and control.
First of all, there are legal and regulatory requirements for electronic records management and privacy protection, including healthcare industry, the HIPAA 1996. It contains medical security and privacy rules and procedures. Providing financial services, Graham-Leach-Bliley Act 1999, which requires financial institutions to ensure the security and confidentiality of customer data. Publicly traded companies, Sarbanes-Oxley Act in 2002. It imposes responsibility on companies and their management to safeguard and accuracy and integrity of financial information that is used internally and released externally. Next up, we have the electronic evidence. It is the evidence for white-collar crimes, often in digital forms such as data on computers, email, instant messages, e-commerce transactions, and it is also a proper control of data that can save time and money when responding to legal discovery requests. And the last one is computer forensics. It contains the scientific collection, examination, authentication, preservation, and analysis of data from computer storage media for use as evidence in court of law. And it also includes recovery of ambient and hidden data. The next part is organizational frameworks for security and control. We have the information systems controls containing manual and automated controls, or general and application controls. About the general controls, they are govern design, security, and use of computer programs, and security of data files in general throughout organizations' information technology infrastructure. They apply to all computerized applications. They are also a combination of hardware, software, and manual procedures, and to create overall control environment. The types of general controls contain software controls, hardware controls, computer operations, data security, implementation, and administrative controls. About the application controls, it's specific controls unique to each computerized application, such as payroll or order processing, and include both automated and manual procedures. It ensures that only authorized data are completely and accurately processed by that application, and they include input controls, processing controls, and output controls. The risk assessment determines level of risk to firm if specific activity or process is not properly controlled. And security policy, it ranks information risk, identifies acceptable security goals, and identifies mechanisms for achieving these goals. It drives other policies such as acceptable use policy. It defines acceptable uses of firm's information resource and computing equipment, and the authorization policies determining differing levels of user access to information assets. About the identity management, business processes and tools to identify valid users of system and control access. It identifies and authorizes different categories of users and specifies which portion of system users can access, and authenticating users and protects identities. The identity management systems, it captures access rules for different levels of users. About the disaster recovery planning, it devises plans for restoration of disrupted services, and business continuity planning focuses on restoring business operations after disaster. Both types of plans needed to identify firms' most critical systems. Business impact analysis to determine impact of an outage. Management must determine which systems restored first. And finally is the role of auditing, including examining firms' overall security environments as well as controls governing individual information systems. It reviews technologies, procedures, documentation, training, and personnel. May even stimulate disaster to test response of technology, IS staff and other employees, and they lists and ranks all control weaknesses and estimates probability of their occurrence. And it also assesses financial and organizational impact of each threat.
The final one is tools and technologies for safeguarding. Mid-sized and large companies have complex IT infrastructures and many different systems, each with its own set of users. Identity management software automates the process of keeping track of all these users and their system privileges. It also includes tools for authenticating users, protecting user identities, and controlling access to system resources. To gain access to a system, a user must be authorized and authenticated. Authentication refers to the ability to know that a person is who he or she claims to be. Authentication is often established by using passwords known only to authorized users, tokens, smart card, biometric authentication, or two-factor authentication. Without protection against malware and intruders, connecting the internet would be very dangerous. Firewall intrusions. Firewall intrusion detection systems and antivirus software have become essential business tools. Firewalls prevent authorized users from accessing private networks. A firewall is a combination of hardware and software that controls the flow of incoming and outgoing network traffic. It is generally placed between the organization's private internal networks and distributed external networks, such as the Internet, although firewalls can also be used to protect one part of a company's network from the rest of the network. There are a number of firewall screening technologies, including static packet filtering, stateful inspection, network address translation, and implication process filtering. They are frequently used in combination to provide firewall protection. In addition to firewalls, commercial security vendors now provide intrusion detection tools and services to protect against suspicious network traffic and attempts to access files and databases. Intrusion detection systems feature full-time monitoring tools placed at the most vulnerable points or hotspots to operate networks to detect and deter intruders continually. The system generates an alarm if it finds a suspicious or anomalous event. Monitoring software examines events that they are happening to discover security attacks in progress. Defensive technology plans for both individual and business must include anti-malware. The fourth is encryption. Encryption is transformation text or data into cipher text that cannot be read by intended recipients. Two methods for encryption on networks are: the first is secret socket layer (SSL) and successful transport layer security (TLS). The second is secure type text transfer protocol. The digits about the digital certificate, the data file used to establish the identity of user and electronic access for protection of online transactions. Uses a trusted third-party certification authority (CA) and to validate a user identity. The CA verifies user identity, stores information in CA servers, which generates encrypted digital certificate containing owner ID information and copy of owner's public key. The public key infrastructure, which means the PKI, which is used of public key cryptography working with certificate authority, and is widely used in e-commerce. Number 5, ensuring system availability. Ensuring system availability is online transaction processing requires 100% available, no downtime. And fault-tolerant computer systems is for continuous availability. For example, stock markets contains redundant hardware, software, and power supply components that create an environment that provides continuous uninterrupted service. And next is controlling network traffic, which uses deep packet inspection, which is DPI in short, to examine data files and source low priority material. It can block video and music downloads. And next is security outsourcing, which is managed security service provides, MSSPs, to Number 6. Security in the cloud and mobile digital platform.
The security in the cloud is responsible for security resides with company owning your data. Firms must ensure providers provide adequate protection, such as where data are stored, meeting corporate requirements, legal privacy laws, segregation of data from other clients, audits and security certification, and service level agreements, which means the SLAs. We also have to secure mobile platform. Security policy should include and cover any special requirements for mobile devices, such as guidelines for use of platforms and applications. The mobile device management tools include authorization, inventory records, control update, lockdown or erase lost devices, and encryption. Software for we also should have software for segregating corporate data on devices. The software matrix is the objective assessment. The software matrix are the objective assessment of system in form of quantified measurements such as number of transactions, online response time, payroll checks printed per hour, or known bugs per 100 lines of code. A walkthrough means a review of specification or design document by small group of qualified people, and debugging is the process by which errors are eliminated. That was the end of our presentation. Thank you for listening.